Well, hello, Fort Drum. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, General Brett Funk, all the members of the Armed Forces of the United States who are gathered here, U.S. Army strong. Thanks for the warm welcome. It is great to be back at the backbone of U.S. Army readiness, the home of Mountain Tough, the soldiers of the 10th Mountain Division. You know, for more than 100 years, the North Country has been the training ground for America's soldiers. Today, the men and women of the 10th Mountain Division train here, deploy here, and climb to glory. So give yourselves a round of applause. America is proud of the 10th Mountain. And while you're at it, would you join me in showing your appreciation for someone who has been so dedicated these last 4 years to military families and spouses? She's literally traveled the world, encouraging those who stand alongside all the men and women who serve. And as you just heard, she's a Marine Corps mom, my wife of 35 years, but the best second lady the United States has ever had. Would you join me in thanking Karen Pence for all she has done for America these last 4 years? I'm so proud of her. Isn't she great? You know, I'm here to deliver a very simple message to each and every one of you on behalf of your Commander-in-Chief and every American. Thank you for your service. And to the 1st Brigade Combat Team, welcome home. You know, after traveling across this country over the past 4 years, I can assure all of you in uniform, the American people are more grateful for your service than you will ever know. I hear about it all the time. You come from the rest of us, but the people of this country know you're the best of us, and we're grateful. Not only to those of you who wear the uniform, but we're grateful to those who serve alongside. So many of you serve every day as a family while you train, while you deploy. It's your wives, your husbands, and the parents who keep the home fires burning. And as you just heard from my wife, Karen, we know what we're talking about. We have 2 married active duty military personnel in our immediate family, and we couldn't be more proud. So while we give a rousing round of applause to the 10th, why don't you get on your feet and show how much we appreciate all the family members who stand by you who serve. Let's hear it for the spouses and the kids and the parents who make it all work. You know, as I look out at all of you gathered here, it really is remarkable to think of the countless American heroes who stood where we're all standing today. Warriors who've come here, trained here, and deployed from here to virtually every corner of the world. Since 9/11, the 10th Mountain has been the most deployed division of the U.S. Army, with thousands deployed every day. The 10th Mountain Brigades have served a combined 46 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. The first conventional units to deploy to Afghanistan after 9/11 came from right here at Fort Drum. The 2nd Brigade Combat Team and the 10th Sustainment Brigade are deployed in Afghanistan even as we speak. And if they're looking on from afar, we say thank you for your service. We are proud of you all. In fact, it may well be true in the days ahead that members of the 10th Mountain Division could be among the last conventional units, should the day come that the war in Afghanistan finally comes to an end. Your mission in Afghanistan has been vital to the security of the American people. This year will mark 20 years since the forces of radical Islamic terror plotted and perpetrated the deadliest attack on the American homeland in the history of our country. From the safe haven of Afghanistan, the terrorists of Al-Qaeda struck the United States on September 11th, 2001. I was a new member of Congress then, had just arrived that year representing the state of Indiana. And I'll never forget where I was. Just off Capitol Hill when I heard that the towers were struck in New York City. Or the moment when I walked out of that office building across from the U.S. Capitol and saw what was a clear blue sky over Washington, D.C., literally filled with billows of mud brown and black smoke billowing out of the Pentagon. It's a sight I'll never forget. Later that day, I was able to slip back across the Potomac River to go to the little house Karen and I had rented with our children as my service began in Washington, D.C. While there was work to be done on Capitol Hill, we thought it was important that we gathered with our kids, young children at the time. We sat around the kitchen table to tell them what happened, to reassure them, and to pray. But I'll never forget the moment that I was walking out of the kitchen, and my daughter Audrey, who was just 7 years of age, followed me out the door. And she said, "Dad, I have a question." And I looked down at her and I said, "Audrey, I have to go. I have things I need to do." And she said, "No, Daddy, I have a question." And I said, "I really have to go." And she stamped her feet and said, "Daddy, I have a question." And I looked at her and I said, like a sensitive father that I was, "What?" And she looked up at me with those big brown eyes, 7 years of age. And she said, "Daddy, if we have to make a war, do you have to go?" I dropped down on one knee and I threw my arms around her because I suddenly knew where her little heart and mind was at. I hugged her and I told her, "Daddy's too old." But I tell that story because there's not a day gone by in 20 years that I haven't thought of all of you who answered that question differently, to your families, to your loved ones. A generation of heroes, you all are, who stepped forward and took the fight to our enemies on their soil. There's never been a day gone by that I and every American hasn't been grateful to the 10th Mountain Division and every American hero in uniform.